So I see a video this morning on Facebook, and it's Joe Biden all mad at Bernie Sanders at the Democratic debate. I don't know how anybody watches that stuff, but he's mad because Bernie Sanders had at one time voted that, we can't hold gun manufacturers liable for some moron that does something wrong with a gun. So Joe Biden gets all heated and he says, well, you voted for that. How would you feel if we didn't hold pharmaceutical companies or the tobacco industry liable? Now, there's a huge difference in what he's talking about. People who don't know, they're just not educated. But you see, the problem with the tobacco industry was for decades and decades, they were killing people and they were saying, hey, man, cigarettes are safe. And the same thing with pharmaceutical companies. The problem is if you lie to people or if you make a drug that's killing people or causes people to die, but you don't tell them that, that's different than making a gun and then writing in there, hey, listen, if you use this the wrong way, it could kill you or kill somebody else. I mean, the way people manipulate things, manipulation is a lie and a lie is an untruth. And Joe Biden, hey, he's been in government for 40 years. He knows all about that, let alone the fact that, well, let's face it, he's treasonous. He got his son, the guy that got kicked out of the military for doing cocaine and then divorced his wife to go out with his dead brother's wife and then dumped her for a stripper, something like that, I don't know. And then he gets a job in the Ukraine because his dad is vice president and promises the Ukraine that he'll give him $100 million as long as you hire my son for $80,000 a month or something like that. Now listen, if you've got your own company and you love your kid and you want to put him in charge and give him a big salary, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Who's not going to do that? But if you do that with government money and put your kid in somewhere, that's treason. And that guy's running for president and people are listening. So anyway, when he gets mad at Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden pops that off about the pharmaceutical companies and the tobacco industry. And then he says that 150 million people have been killed by guns since 2007. I want you to realize that the population of the U.S. is about 330 million. So according to Joe Biden, let's face it, it's a big stupid mistake, but he's just trying to put emphasis on something. When you're a manipulator, which makes you a liar, you get really good at just throwing stuff out there that doesn't make any sense because everybody's going to believe you because, doggone it, he's been in politics for 40 years. I'm surprised he didn't say like 150 million, billion, quadrillion, gazillion, gadillion. Dillion, zillion, jillion, billion, gadillion people have been killed. I mean, he's trying to get you, right? He's trying to get people to listen. Doggone it, this gun violence, this crazy gun things. These crazy gun people. But let's face it, it's not even crazy anti-gun people. I want to drop something on everybody that is factual. The reason that the big anti-gun movement is coming, right? There's always been anti-gun stuff. Let's face it. Everybody is beginning to get smart enough now in America to recognize that the United States government, the right and the left, fight and cause problems so we don't pay attention to what they're responsible for. So did you get that? The right or the left creates problems so we get all fired up. Now, trying to take people's guns gets people all fired up, so that's a big thing. Look at the new coronavirus thing now. My gosh, yesterday there must have been 10 stories out in the news. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Listen, the flu kills more people every year than the coronavirus has killed people. But they want you to be panicked about that. And why is that? I'm going to tell you this. I touched on it before, but do you know the one thing? I don't care if you're on the right or the left. You could be extreme either way or right in the middle. There's one thing we should all be paying attention to, and nobody is. And do you know why? Because nobody who's running for president or is president is going to talk about it because we can't fix it. And I'm going to tell you why. It's called the national debt, which this morning, if you look it up, if you want to watch something terrifying, go to national debt. I think it's nationaldebt.org. Just type in national debt and watch the national debt goes up. It goes up about $100,000 every 6 seconds. We're at 23,300 billion right now. Of course, that was about 10 minutes ago. Only God knows where we're at now. But why do we not talk about that? Well, I'll tell you why. Because you see, the national debt is continually going up because politicians promise things to people. I'm serious, I want you to think about this for a minute. Who wants to vote for a president that says we're going to eliminate jobs? right? Who is going to vote for a president that says we're going to stop putting money out there? We're going to get financially reasonable. You see, because the problem is what the government has done is they have created jobs that are not making enough money and they're not getting their money back. You know, think of like Planned Parenthood and all these huge corporations that are on the government teat, meaning that the government gives them so much money and it employs those people, but they're not making enough money to sustain. That's why the national debt is going up, up, up. And why now is gun control getting to be such a big deal? Well, if you look at history, do you know when gun control really started setting in? It's when the government knew things were going to fall apart. We are $23 trillion and flying forward in debt. And nobody in the government is talking about it. And now to show how the complete insanity in all of it abounds is that we have Joe Biden. I don't mean to pick on him, but he's treasonous, and I hope he gets put in prison after Trump is reelected in 2020 for treason. But Joe Biden has been in the government for 4 decades, and now he wants to run the government. 4 decades. He's been part of this promise, 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 run up the national debt, and he actually thinks he should be president. I don't know how we're going to resolve the issue. I hate to be on a negative context like everything's hopeless, because it's not. But I think the real people have to recognize that the next president that's elected has to focus on the one thing that's most important, and this national debt issue, to stop the nonsense. Remember a time, and I have to believe that the country at one time actually had a government that cared about the people, of, for, and by us, right? Not people that are in office making a great salary, promising more money, just printing cash out, not caring that 50 years later or something the country may fail. I don't really know what's going to happen with the country, but it's a great country. But people have to recognize that we have to vote a president in, and people are going to lose jobs. And that's the only way that that clock will at least stop, let alone go the other direction. God loves you. I hope you enjoy your coffee. I sure do. It's snowing, and I like it. Have a good morning.